The main goal of our class is to share women's stories. This is an expansive topic, and while the literature and films focused on in this course are insightful and develop into the topic, the amount of literature that relates to this topic cannot possibly be covered in one semester. For my presentation, I will discuss Laura by Vera Caspary, a novel that touches on this topic and would fit well into this course outline. Laura is a femme fatale narrative that allows the title character, Laura Hunt, a chance to share her story in a fashion that takes the reader by surprise. Laura begins as a murder mystery, with Part 1 being written in Waldo Lidecker's perspective. Waldo was Laura's mentor and took her in to teach her about marketing and building a career for herself. Waldo retells Laura's story by describing her as helpless and innocent when they first met, which is exemplified by the quote, "She was a slender thing, timid as a fawn and fawn-like too in her young uncertain grace." The bright shyness of her slightly oblique dark eyes further contributed to the sense that Bambi, or Bambi's doe, had escaped from the forest and galloped up the 18 flights to this apartment. Caspary 13. Waldo has a savior complex when it comes to Laura, and acts as though her success was solely an extension of his influence, which is characterized from the quote, "Under my tutelage, she developed from a gauche child to a gracious New Yorker." Caspary 16. To Waldo, Laura was someone he had to protect and guide in order for her life to be worthwhile. Part 2 of Laura is written from Mark McPherson's perspective. Mark is the detective investigating Laura's murder. As Mark was conducting the investigation, he had been studying Laura's personal things, including her journals and notes. Mark had fabricated a version of Laura in his mind and became infatuated with her, despite knowing she was a victim of murder. However, when Mark returns to her apartment to scope out some more of her personal things, he meets Laura there. As Mark gets to know her more, his infatuation grows as he believes it has been validated. As he says, "Everything was just the way I had felt it would be with her there, alive and warm and interested in Othello." Caspary 65. Revealing that Laura is alive is a twist that distinguishes the novel from others that were published around the same time because it gives Laura the opportunity to share her own story. Part 4 of Laura is written from Laura Hunt's perspective. She now has to prove her innocence in the murder of a woman who was found dead in her apartment, her friend Diane. Unfortunately, her alibi is unsteady and she worries that she and her fiancé Shelby will be found guilty, especially because Shelby was found with Diane in the apartment on the night she was murdered. Laura also starts developing feelings for Mark, which is a problem because she is set to get married. Laura says, "I was ashamed. I kept thinking of my own life that it seemed so honest. I hid my face from daylight." Caspary 127. At the end of the novel, Waldo tries to kill Laura and Mark stops him by killing him. Waldo's attempt to kill Laura makes it evident that he had planned to kill her, but accidentally killed Diane instead. Laura's innocence is proven, and she is safer now that her attempted killer has been subdued. The novel Laura relates to the course's themes of retelling women's stories and the narrative of women's silence because it begins as a novel about a dead woman who is being spoken for and romanticized by men. Laura is able to reclaim her personhood and advocate for herself, but in turn transforms from victim to suspect. During this process, she realizes that the men in her life, being Waldo and Shelby, are not healthy people to be involved with. This novel also deals with a strong-willed, hard-working woman who is stifled by her partner and lusted after by two men, one of whom tries to kill her because of his jealousy. In class, this novel could be analyzed for how it portrays how men interact with women they find a threat, and how women's lives are at stake when men allow their emotions to control their actions.